Hi guys, I'm Kiri, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about a 1982 Lotus Elite Riviera S2. In 1960s and 70s, Lotus had big success in Formula 1, won the Constructors' Championship 7 times, the Drivers 6 times, 74 race victories with the best drivers in the world, was the dominant Formula 1 team, and of course this affects on the road car business. We know the models on that time: Lotus 7, Elite, later Elan and Europa. They were a great success. But in early 1970s, the founder Colin Chapman decided to go a bit different way, the weight-shaped design. He met Giorgetto Giugiaro, or maybe Giorgetto Giugiaro approached him with the idea of the new vision Lotus Esprit, the Europa's replacement. The design was radical for Lotus, but this was the fashion in early 70s. Top cars like Lamborghini Countach or Huracan, Ferrari 365 BB, 308 GT4, or even before 1970 the Ferrari Daytona had a bit of this design. And on the end, all the car brands went to this new, more sharp design. The Giugiaro designed Esprit was shown for the first time in 1971, but went in production in 1975-76. When Lotus and Giugiaro were developing the production Esprit, Colin Chapman sent his designer on that time, Oliver Winterbottom, to work with Giugiaro. Later, the Lotus designer will develop the new 1974 2+2 Lotus model, the replacement of Elan Plus 2. And this was the car in front of us, the new Elite. As you can see, the new Elite is somehow close to Giugiaro's Esprit design. There are some similarities, especially on the front side. But this was expected, because as we mentioned, Oliver Winterbottom was taking lessons from the great maestro Giorgetto Giugiaro. Already the Elite name was used once by Lotus for the 1957 sensational Eurosport presentation Lotus Elite, which was a very successful model. So Lotus didn't want to disappoint with the same name new model, and actually wasn't. The 1975 Type 75 Elite was a successful car as well, was in production until 1982, like the car in front of us, very late 1982 Lotus Elite. But this is a bit special model, named Riviera. We're gonna come to this later. The interior was designed as well with help from Giorgetto Giugiaro in Italy. So all this new design, very modern and posh for the time, in combination with the luxury interior, makes the car a really top model for mid-1970s. But not only that, Lotus had already great chassis and suspension, and even more great engines. 4-cylinder inline double overhead cam, and noticed 16 valves, which was very advanced for the time. And Lotus were very proud as well for this engine. Was also the first proper, let's say, 2+2 Lotus car. Compared with the predecessor Elan Plus 2, this really was more spacious and large. For the 8 years production run, Lotus make 2,535 Elite Type 75 cars, which mean over 300 cars per year. But we need to mention that was very expensive from the beginning. For 1975, the price tag was 5,445 British pounds. Just to have an idea, I'm gonna mention other car prices for the 1974, the year ago. So was double the price of Elan Plus 2, which was 2,789 pounds, or the predecessor of Esprit Europa, which was 2,436 British pounds. The Lancia Beta was 1,594, Lancia Fulvia 1,865, the Countach was the most expensive car with 16,314, but just have a look now here, Jaguar XJ12 Coupe Series 2 was cheaper, 5,182 pounds, the XJ6 Coupe was 3,674 pounds, and then the Jaguar E-Type V12 was 3,638 British pounds, so much cheaper than Type 75 Lotus Elite. And then Maserati Merak 7,000 pounds, Lamborghini Huracan 7,567 pounds, Jensen Healey with the same Lotus engine 2,190 pounds, Ford Escort RS 2000 1,586 pounds, De Tomaso Pantera was 6,596 pounds, Aston Martin V8 was 9,593 pounds and Porsche 911 4,934 pounds. In 1978, because of the inflation, the prices went 2 times up, so the most expensive automatic elite version was 13,020 British pounds, when Maserati Merak was 14,888 pounds. But what I noticed, the elite was more expensive than the Esprit, which start from 11,500 British pounds. So really, Lotus Elite Type 75 was very expensive car, and this was probably one of the reasons why they sold not that many cars for the 8 years production run, but anyway, was very successful car from the beginning. One more thing about the design was very interesting actually back end, known as a shooting brake body style. There is not an actual door on the back and to have access to the luggage compartment, but is the only rear glass which is opening to have the access. Lotus cars are well known for its fiberglass bodies, and here is not different. The two-part body shell is mounted on a steel backbone chassis. Now these two parts of the body are bonded together, one on top of each other. The joint is in the middle where the plastic trim was very rigid, strong, even more stronger than some steel cars. This technology was in use on the other Lotus cars as well, like Esprit, Eclat and Excel. The chassis, we have to say again, was one of the best in the world. Steel backbone with 4 independent suspension and coil springs, with the engine, gearbox and differential fitted on the chassis. Very clever engineering, just the problem with the early cars is the chassis wasn't galvanized, so was likely to get rust and actually rotted, and the owners needed to replace it. Later, they solved the problem with the galvanizing the chassis with the other models as well. Also, the Elite was the first Lotus model to use the aluminium block, 4 valves double overhead cam engine Type 907 with capacity of 2 liters, 1973 cc. Very famous engine by the way. The power was rated at 155 horsepower, was bulletproof as well. This engine later will become 2.2 liters like in the car in front of us, because this is, as we said, late 1982 model, the final year of the Elite production. There are Elites with 4 or 5 speed manual transmission, but as well from 1976 automatic version was available. There are different variants of the Elite. Our car here today is Riviera, and is the most sporty and expensive maybe, but the normal versions are 501, 502, 03 and 04. 501 is the base version. 02 is with air condition, 03 air condition and power steering, and 04 is all the extras plus automatic gearbox. The car is very light as well. This was the conception of the founder Colin Chapman to create something light with small engine but with performance like the big engine cars. The weight is just over 1 ton. For the base version, 1043 kilograms. In 1980, Type 75 was replaced by Type 83, also known as a Mark II. Actually the same car, but with some improvements. Nowadays is likely to say a facelift. So the engine was enlarged to 2.2 liters, 2174 cc, Type 912. The chassis was galvanized and new 5-speed gearbox, because the old one was a bit problematic, let's say. The new one, Getrack, was very good actually gearbox. So they as well were different lights, bumpers, etc, etc. Now about the Riviera Lotus cars. They're very rare. What makes them more special than the others was the equipment, especially the famous removable roof panel. The Riviera has as well very distinctive trim. The interior is more luxurious and equipped with all the options. Outside, the special decals, different design bonnet. The Riviera seems to be the most desirable model and probably will rise in value. The interior is very interesting. Some are in full leather, but some half leather and fabric. But all the Riviera cars looks completely different than the normal Lotuses. Most of them are painted in the very classic Tissot blue color, probably because early 1980s one of the Lotus Formula 1 sponsor was Tissot, the Swiss watchmaker Tissot, so these are very distinctive and valuable. Just 1 year after the Elite Type 75 introduction was presented the car sister to the Elite, the Eclat, which basically is the same car, just the rear end is different, more like sport two-door shape. There Eclat Riviera as well. By some sources just 80 Eclat Riviera are made, but I'm not sure how many Elite Riviera are made, for sure there are not many. So Riviera was special edition version being offered for the last 2 years only. The technical part for the Riviera is the same as the normal Lotus Elite we mentioned earlier, front longitudinally mounted 4-cylinder inline 16-valve double overhead cam engine with capacity 2174 cc and producing 160 horsepower. Very modern for the time with rubber cam belt, all aluminium and lightweight. The performance is the same as well, 0 to 62 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, approximately 7.5 seconds, and maximum speed 207 kilometers per hour or approximately 131 miles per hour. The best part of every Lotus is the driving experience. And here, the founder of the company, Colin Chapman, designed the suspension himself. So the car stays like in a rail, very stable and pleasure and joy to drive. But there is something we need to mention. The Elite and the car sister Eclat almost destroyed the company reputation, especially the early 1970s cars. They were very unreliable. We mentioned early many issues, rotten chassis and suspension elements, gearbox problems. The early gearboxes were very weak, probably couldn't hold the power. Many electrical problems left many owners on the road, also small mechanical problems like door hinges, fixing points, door handles and many more. So the building quality was not good enough for the car with price tag £5,445 in 1975. For this money, the new owner probably expected top quality, but unfortunately not. The body and engines were really very solid, very good, the looks of the car as well, but the rest wasn't. Then Lotus solved all the problems, or most of them, especially with the new 1982 model Lotus XL, which was again very similar to the Elite Eclat, but here the quality was different. Lotus cooperated with Toyota, so the XL was with all drivetrain from Toyota Supra, the gearbox, differential, driveshafts, brakes, also door handles and the pop-up light switch from Toyota MR2 and some other stuff. But the original was the 1974-75 Lotus Elite Type 75. And probably, I assume, the bad quality was because they just tried to save weight from every part, every corner and component, and on the end, the quality is very poor. We need to say that Lotus Elite Riviera was a great car for its time. Many of the problems are not in this car. This is a really reliable car. Very nice, sharp looking, even today. Special car, but special cars need special attention. If you care about the car is gonna care about you. Because Riviera was a special edition car, many of the original owners have been looking very well for these cars. That's why today they are in much better condition than other normal Elite or Eclat cars. As we mentioned, the prices are going up and never down. They become a collector items for every Lotus enthusiast. Now everyone who owns a Riviera cares about the car and cherish different way. As we said, there are not many being made, but even less today are survived. So the number today is very small. The people who liked weight-shaped design, this is one of the car they should have. Even is more desirable than many Lotus Esprit cars. If the car is in top condition, really looks very smart and beautiful. But the thing is, still these cars doesn't deserve proper restoration today, because a proper restoration will cost 60,000 or even more pounds, euro or American dollars, and the prices of the cars are not that high. So on the end we need to keep them in the way how they are, except if it's some different value than the money. So guys, I hope you liked the video about this 1982 Lotus Elite Riviera S2. If you like, please subscribe my channel and see you next time guys. Bye!